Hi, and welcome to the OT is In, the podcast where we merge the worlds of education and occupational therapy to empower families like yours. I'm Sarah Collins, your host, an occupational therapist and a homeschooling parent. I've experienced occupational therapy by supporting families for over 15 years, but also through seeking out support of my own children. So I'm right here in the trenches with you. Though there is not one way to educate your child, there is a lot to consider when individualizing an education. And the goal of this podcast is to explain some of the why behind what an occupational therapist is thinking so you can apply it to your own family. Especially with my three favorite topics: executive functioning, handwriting, and sensory processing. Each episode will be packed with practical tips, expert interviews, and real-life stories aimed at helping you to create a supportive learning environment for your child. So, grab your headphones and get ready to dive in of the collision of education and occupational therapy. I'm Sarah Collins from Homeschool OT, and I'm thrilled to have you with me on this journey of discovery. Hey, and welcome back to the OT is In podcast. In today's episode, we have an extra special guest, I would even say my very favorite guest, Annabelle Collins. She's here to discuss executive functioning, planning, and organization. And you might notice we share the same last name. That's because she is my wonderful, fantastic daughter. She offers insights into her personal experience as a homeschool teenager, touching on topics such as setting up daily schedules, adapting to different learning systems, managing distractions, and finding motivation. Together, we explore the challenges and successes that we have encountered, providing valuable advice for parents and teenagers alike. So join us for an inspiring conversation that delves into the world of adolescent executive functioning. Welcome back. I have with me today my beautiful daughter, Annabelle. She is 15 and has been homeschooling since she was 8. So she's going to help us. We've been talking all month about executive functioning, specifically organizing and planning, kind of thinking through what this looks like from the perspective of a teenager, what we've done well, what we haven't. And I will tell you, we have not practiced or gone through this before, so I might hear some things that I'm not prepared for. It'll be lovely. I'm excited. So start us off, love, with who are you, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Annabelle Collins. I'm in 10th grade, so I'm ending it, so I'm almost an upperclassman, which is weird. I've been homeschooling since 3rd grade. I play volleyball and do a lot of sports and stuff, but I also really enjoy just doing school and hanging out with my family.
So all month, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, all month we've been talking about organization, planning. So let's start with when you started, when you were 8 years old. Do you remember how we set up your day?
You would do it like a list for what's the day.
Yeah. So at that point, there was I was trying to bring school into our home. And so I would really set up everything that was going on with our day. And how did you like that?
I don't really remember, to be completely honest with you. I think I've always wanted to be I like knowing everything. And that was the case then as well. No, I don't really remember how I liked it. I don't remember much of my emotions from 8 years ago, but
So after I was kind of writing just day to day, I'll tell you, I remember you didn't really like it.
Yeah.
You were not a happy camper with, this is just what I want you to get done today. You've always been I want to see more. I want to know more of what's the end game and why am I doing this? So
I still ask that question. Why am I doing free calc? I don't know.
Well, yeah, we can get to that. But you really liked it when we would start to say, okay, so this is setting up your goals at the beginning of the year, and then say, like, what do we need to do to get there? And then break things down, because that would give you a little bit more control. So after you started taking over some of that, do you remember kind of what that process was like or what you went through?
I mean, I remember that it's definitely changed and progressed throughout time. Like now every subject is color coded and the subjects are split up between the days. And yeah, I'm kind of a control freak. But then I feel like it's definitely evolved. Like I've always written stuff down in a planner. I feel like writing definitely helps me process and like helps me do it. But like now I have my calendar, like my social calendar laid out for the week, and then I'll add in all of the school things to that as well.
And we've tried a bunch of different systems for that over the years. We tried technology, we've used Trello, we tried Google Classrooms for a little bit. We do have a family calendar on our phones, a
There's like
Google
three.
calendar, yeah, color coded there too. But how do you remember like why you did not like more electronic, like why you preferred the paper schedule?
I mean, I didn't mind Trello actually. I liked that for like big picture things. So within Trello, you can write like a subject. So it'll be like this and then this like giant project. But it took too long for me to break down the giant subject within Trello when now I can just like write it out really easily. I feel like that I can make edits and I actually can like physically write a check mark rather than just like clicking a button that feels like clicking any other button.
So for you, the actual crossing out or checking off.
Yeah. But I think it was also just like it's more accessible to me when it's just like pen and paper. And then I have learned that I have to write something very quantifiable.
Okay.
I have to read 30 pages, not just read.
So how did you figure that out?
I think mainly with reading, because the program that we do has the 6 sections pretty much. And so we have an exposition thing. And within that, we've had to read a lot. Like this year, I think we read like 20 something books or something for school. But I also just enjoy reading on my own. So like when I read, sometimes I will say, I'm reading a book that I want to read.
To myself is what I'm deciding on.
Yay! But no, I have to read C.S. Lewis and I have to read 35 pages of it per day and blah, 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 so that it's like quantifiable and I can know.
Okay. So that kind of helps us to think about what went well and what has moved along. But let's talk about something that maybe perhaps did not go well and how did we have to learn from that? Math. Okay, so when we started homeschooling here in Pennsylvania, you theoretically can get curriculum from the public school system. And since our kids were just coming out of public school, and at that point we had no idea what we were just given this homeschooling thing that, the good old try 8 years ago. So we're still trying.
Still a work in progress.
But we went over to the school system, and I'm pointing because it's across the street, but they gave us a workbook that you could not actually work in. We had to return it at the end of the year.
Your little, well, no, we could, you just didn't want to buy it, but you could do.
Well, that's the whole point,
That's
is
fair.
that they were supposed to give it to
But
us.
no, we had like little like page protectors that you put in like the 3-ring binders. We would put those over the pages and write with expo markers on them, and then because I'm left-handed, it would smudge, and then I'd get really mad.
And they also didn't give us the teacher's guide, which I understand, like they only buy a few of those. But since that happened, we were having to do math together every day. And I was having to do a lot of the same math problems and oftentimes would not get them correct.
Or if you did get them correct, you did it the wrong way in my head.
In your head.
Like she would do it and I'd be like, no. What's the thing? Because apparently, supposedly, like math has like changed. So like I was actually taught differently than you were. But that's not even it. It's just I'm logical and you're not. That's a whole lot. I don't know. Dad does math the way that I do math, so I don't know.
All
We
right.
just don't think the same.
We do not think the same way. That is correct. We do not think the same way. But because of that, so then we moved on to a different program. We said, this is not working. We're going to move on. And our relationship was suffering. And so we moved to online math, which at that point, I will admit, like I wiped my hands of it. And I was like, okay, this is what you have to do every day. Cool. Like get that done. Right. And how did that go?
Well, I didn't really do it.
So not well.
No.
Not well. So well.
No.
So my expectations of her were not matching what she was able to do at that point in time. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but it just kind of compounded over time. Like there was a day, you would do some of it and then you would get behind or whatever. And it just almost ended up seeming insurmountable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was actually literally the day of our evaluation, because again, in Pennsylvania, you have to do this evaluation every year. And she came to me and was like, I don't have any of this done, which we took and said, this is learning, right? This is the processing of what went wrong was as beneficial to me at that point than all of that math would have been, because we can do math over the summer. We can make that up. Yes, we did. But we had to process through, okay, so what did I do wrong as the teacher or as your parent or as the lead learner here? And what was your responsibility within that? So you want to talk a little bit about what we did in that process?
We ended up so I believe for like 12 because I was doing algebra 1. So that was, I think it was also that I had just like I got a phone for my 12th birthday, so like I had just started having a phone and everything. I feel like it was a whole bunch of new things that were just added together.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we ended up saying, okay, so the phone is outside of your room, which I don't remember if we were doing that beforehand. I think I don't remember.
We were
But
doing
the
it.
phone, yeah. So the phone was outside of your room, and then you don't touch it until math is done. That actually continued for a very long time. That continued until like December of this year. The room's still, or my phone is still like outside of my room or whatever, but I started a new program. So it takes like 3.5 hours a day. So it's not, can't do that before I get my phone in the morning because I use my phone for it actually.
So this kind of, I love that you mentioned it was kind of a collision of two different things. It was wow, I have this level of independence with this device that's in front of me, and that's kind of tugging at me and calling my name and, making me want to go there first. And also the lack of supervision. And I'm just going to say that outright. I will take ownership of that, but the lack of supervision within what you're having. So basically, you had two things that were making it so that your level of ability was not matching your expectations, right?
Exactly.
So the accommodations that we made there, we kind of built in, here's your reward, right? Your phone was your reward after you finish that. And I'm not saying like, sure, let's reward with screen time all the time. That's a whole different discussion. But for you to be able to talk to your friends and to have a conversation.
Yeah, because my phone really hasn't ever been like sit down and for a long time. Like a lot of it's communication, especially because at that point we had moved like relatively recently, and so I was still like in contact with a lot more people back in Maryland as well. So just like, yeah, it was kind of just like it was a thing to work towards.
So now that you're older and looking back on it, you said that it helped to create a habit.
Yeah. I mean, I still have like I said, I still sleep outside my room, and like even now, like I don't do math before I get my phone in the morning. So usually like I just finished math and it is 3:47. So like I kind of just do it within my day now. But I still I don't just like wake up and like bolt to my phone. Like I will do a Bible study or read or something. Actually, I do both. I have like a drawer that rotates like what I read that day. So yeah.
So if you could give parents some advice as far as what questions to ask to help your kids set up a system, do you have any specific questions that help to guide your thinking?
So it depends on like how detail oriented that your child is. 'Cause I am. And so but like also like you can even say things like she doesn't have to tell me a lot. Like in the way that it works with our relationship, I feel like is now it's gotten to a point where it's very much just like I tell you everything. Like she knows everything about my life. So like she knows me very well. She knows that I'm very detail oriented, and like even if she just said, "Okay, well, you can just do it tomorrow," then I go, "What? No. I will do it today. Right now. Thank you." But so she could just like ask me, and I've always been very good at like asking myself questions, but like if your child isn't not even like adapting that, but if that's just not how their brain works, which is completely fine, it's just a different system. Maybe just asking about one, how do you think that went? Because like their opinion is going, if they're feeling like they're like you're a dictator, that's not going to go super well. Like I'm just speaking like that out of, but like I mean, you know your kid better than anybody else in the world, so like you can say, okay, so how do you think this went? And it is a lot part of their personality. Like you could just say, what do we do about this? And we could have a discussion about it. But sometimes you do need to like say, okay, here's what we're gonna do. In a week we'll come back. How's this go? If not, we can change it, blah, 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 blah. So like it really just works kind of just like work with them rather than say like, this is what we're doing. No questions asked and answered, done.
So you think the reflection afterwards is as important as getting the system started?
Yeah, because the reflection is going to continue throughout the lives of anybody. Like we even talked about this. Like I was like with this new math program that I just started, like it's a lot. And we literally went through like everything. And I was able to ask myself the questions. Like I just had a conversation with myself that we would have had to have together like a little bit ago.
So what was that conversation like? So she's taking through our community college, she's taking pre-calculus there, which is 4 college credits. So it is a short amount of time. So in fact, by the time that this airs, she'll only have a week left. So you guys can all celebrate. Woo, Annabelle's almost done. Maybe shoot her an email or a text. You could do it. Finish your last week, right? I'll pass those on to her. But that encouragement. So tell us, what was that conversation that you had in your head when you're thinking, all right, can I actually get this done?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually kind of comical. I feel like just the way that I was saying things, like like in a movie or something where you'll have like the person that's like contemplating and they're like their head's one way and then they're answering their own question. That's literally what I did. So I have, you're imagining it now.
I am.
So I have like so we do classical conversations as our co-op, and then I'm doing this through a community college. And so with classical conversations, you have like this whole syllabus for the rest of the year. And thankfully at the end of like this semester actually isn't a ridiculous amount of work. So like I looked at, okay, so I only have 6 more papers due like within the next like month and whatever. And then I was seeing like how that could go. And I actually didn't really end up having to change anything because I was prepared for it to be a lot, not this much, but like I did get ahead on some things to the point where it wouldn't have to be like super stressful, but I would go through and I was like, okay, this subject, can I do this along with 3 hours of math a day? Or do I have to do this on a weekend? Or do I have to wake up early and do this or stay up late and do this and just like go through it and really kind of plan out my day? Because that is my strong suit, is planning.
So you would start with what absolutely has to get done during the day and how can I divide it out even through the full week or just your one day?
Well, now pre-calc I'm doing every day of the week. So like, because that wasn't possible to do just in the 5 days, but like I definitely have an outlook of like month, week, day all together that I'm using.
I love that. Are you tired of repeating directions to your kids, or do meltdowns throw your day off course? Or if you have a child who struggles to get started and then stay on task, guys, you are not alone. These challenges are all part of executive functioning. This month, as we're tackling the concept of organization and prioritization in the homeschool, it's important to remember that this is only one aspect of executive functioning skills. Getting started with a task, persisting through to the end, self-evaluating, and working memory are all also aspects of executive functioning. We address these in the Executive Functioning Focus Group. So join us on a 30-day journey as we delve deep into executive functioning skills tailored specifically for homeschool environments. For each of the skills, we focus on ways to help support our children in their development, ways to set up the environment so it matches their strengths and needs, and questions to help to promote success with the activities that your children specifically need and want to do. Join us to discover how to support your kids as they learn at their own pace. Because let's face it, one size does not fit all when it comes to learning. Each week, there's new content to help you understand more about executive functioning. Because at each stage of development, these skills and expectations look different. And though the main goal is to help you understand the why, there are also tools and strategies that you can implement immediately. Now, this course is designed to be a month-long deep dive, but it is not designed to contribute to overwhelm. You have lifetime access, so you can keep coming back or you can work at your own pace. Guys, don't miss out on this opportunity to empower your homeschooling journey. Join our Executive Functioning Focus Group today. You can find it by visiting our shop at homeschoolot.com, or more specifically, homeschoolot.com/shop/executive-function-focus-group. Let's make this learning joyous adventure together. So now back to the OT is in. So since planning and prioritization and organization all come together, let's talk a little bit about your room for a minute.
I love my room.
You do. But do you remember how for a very long time
You wouldn't buy me clothes until I clean my room.
Because I said, if you can't keep this clean, why would we have more things added to your space?
I had to keep my room clean for 3 weeks.
Yes, it was 3 years ago. And that was, to me, it was, the natural consequence of, we are not going to add more stuff into your room when what you have now, you cannot keep organized and clean. So yeah, we had to keep it clean for 3 months or 3 weeks. And so talk about that as far as habit, and what did you do to help yourself to keep that happening?
Well, one, I wanted clothes because I didn't have any pants that fit me. But also,
Okay.
but also, like, even now I can see, like, I clean my room every day because my room is now like my spot. Like, I've always been like planner and decorator or whatever. Like, I enjoy just being like calm, and even within my room, like from like 5 when I wanted to redo my room.
Always,
like
every few years wants to redecorate a room.
Yeah, and even just like one random week, I'll go, this should be over there. Like, this shouldn't be here. Why is it here? So like, I will always just go through and kind of look at like the spacing of everything. But I feel like keeping it clean can really just it does have an effect on like my ability. Like, even now I realize, like, some days, like, if I don't make my bed or something like that, I'm a lot less productive. And it was even to the point of this morning, I woke up and it was like 7 a.m. and I didn't want to do anything. But then I was like, okay, I have to fold my laundry, because if I don't, then I'm going to sit here all day. Just because, like, it is learning about my habits. And now that I am like older and like almost 16, which is weird, but like, now that I am older, I can like look back on it and be like, okay, well, when I didn't clean my room, I didn't do math for 6 months. That might be connected. So like, random things.
Again,
like
that reflection is beautiful. I remember you also found a lot of help from Pinterest, right?
I love Pinterest.
Yeah. So again, this is a thing where when you were given your phone, that we went through and we kind of talked about what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages. I know we read a book together as a family that was, I can link in the show notes. It was a father and a daughter, and they were talking about the positives and the negatives of phone usage and technology. And one of the things that we did was, you love that, right? So we talked about, how can you actually use Pinterest in your life? Because goodness gracious, please do not come up with everything that your life has to look like Pinterest all of the time, and make this recipe, and your cake should look that way, and everything should be beautiful all of the time. But it did give you some really good ideas as far as like organization of your room. So talk about that a little bit.
I mean, like, Pinterest is always, I've used Pinterest. Like, I literally helped plan my aunt's wedding using Pinterest, like all of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I kind of would just look at, like, I'm pretty sure I have a solid 3 room boards in my Pinterest account right now, just because of like how it goes. But I have one that's solely focused on organization, and just like, okay, so we folded clothes this way. Let's see how that fits. Like, something like that. Or just like sections of, and I have found with the more drawers that I have, if I keep them organized, it's good. So I used to have a drawer that was just throw whatever you need to in there. I don't have that anymore, so that's nice. But like, it definitely has helped me organize it, even down to the point of like seeing a room that I was like, oh, I like this. This is what I want. And then saying, well, I have this and this and this, which I can't have anymore. Like, there was, I think it was like last year, because I'm a big reader. Like, I have books all over my walls and everything, but I like wanted that, and I said, oh, well, I can't have that because I have all this, and I got rid of like 5 trash bags worth of things. Or like, I'll randomly decide to go through my closet and different things, but like, it's not always perfect. But I feel like the fact that I do recognize how that affects on my productivity and just like my personality in general and like how uptight I am, whatever, like how it all gets back to that, just like being able to see that and like not be conceited about it and just be like, this is how I feel and whatever. It's like, okay, well, what, you're this upset over a paintbrush, that doesn't make sense, what's going on here? Just like being able to look back on that and like see that goes back to, yes, organization, executive functioning, all of the different things.
So as we wind up here, I'm going to put you on the spot because I like to do that with all of my guests. So cheers to all the future guests here. What is something that you would say that we as parents did well to help you to work through planning and prioritization or organization? And what is something that we didn't do?
Okay, so I think that you did well. I mean, you and I have always been close. I feel like it was definitely harder when I was like 8 and 9 because that was when I really did just want to be independent, but I wasn't ready to be.
Mhm.
But now that I am, it like our relationship absolutely thrives. And so I feel like just kind of, but also like throughout the time where we weren't like super, super close, just like asking me the questions and continuing to like, sure, I wasn't completely in charge or whatever, but like you were still giving me a say in it.
Mhm.
I feel like that definitely has made it a lot better and always created like an open communication line that I feel like has just gone into like every part of my life. And you're all smiling now.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Like that's kind of just like everywhere.
So what did we not do well?
I'm trying to think.
Oh, you have to think about it. That's even better.
Maybe I'm just thinking about how to phrase it. I don't know.
That's okay.
I think sometimes it is just drastic changes, which I'm not good at. So like even down to the math thing, like we were doing it together every single day and then you wash your hands of it completely. Like the two drastic changes. And so just having that be like a pattern. And even this year, like since that point in time, every year it's always been like I'm getting a little bit more control.
Mhm.
And so like one year it'd be like we would literally sit down and plan every single thing, or like you would write it out and I would say, okay, well that wouldn't work.
Mhm.
But like something like that. But now it's to the point where I'm doing everything by myself. And so it was that gradual release after the initial drastic release. But now it's like gradual, and I feel like that was very helpful to make it gradual, but just like when it wasn't, that was hard because I'm never gonna change.
Okay, I could take that. We'll do gradual releases from here on out.
We do.
I love it. All right. Thank you, love, so much for being here. And over the next several months, when we talk about things that would pertain to teenagers, then Annabelle here has said that she's willing to come back on. So if you do have questions as far as homeschooling teens or specifically executive functioning and development, my girl here is ready to answer. So thank you so much, Annabelle, for being here and being with us. And thank you all for being here with us too. It is not lost on me that you could be spending your time elsewhere. So thank you very much.